We will also insist and ensure that weapons that were designed and sold to the United States military for the express purpose of killing people as efficiently, as effectively, and as great a number as possible are kept on the battlefields and are no longer sold into our communities.
Så jeg har ikke fået frokost, og jeg glemte min pung. Det eneste, jeg har, den her. Men lige nu, så skal jeg ind og se Beto, som er en mulig præsidentkandidat for Demokraternes.
Thank you all so much for receiving us, welcoming us, making us feel at home in Los Angeles. Thank you. And to Councilmember Monica Rodriguez, thank you for everything, for introducing us here today, for your leadership, for driving 12 hours due east to El Paso, Texas, and the great state that we tried to represent in that last Senate race, and knocking doors for us with other amazing people from this community and this state. Thank you. Cannot thank you enough. To Lacey, to Jesus, to everybody who took the stage to tell their story, and to everyone who made some time for us today, thank you. We are grateful. Gracias por recibirnos y estar aquí con nosotros en este día, en este momento tan importante para el futuro de California, de Los Ángeles y también de los Estados Unidos, de todas las personas adentro de los Estados Unidos. Esta es una campaña para todos, que quiere servir, todos quieren escuchar, a todos quieren representar, a todos quieren entender, todos, porque todos necesitan ser parte de las soluciones que tenemos aquí en este país. As we were driving over here from the airport, heard some very sad news about yet another shooting in another place of worship here in the United States of America, just outside of San Diego, California, at Chabad of Poway. One dead, many more injured. Just 6 months after the Tree of Life massacre in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at another synagogue. A couple of years after the mosque in Victoria, Texas, was torched and burned to the ground. 4 years after a shooting in Emmanuel AME in Charleston, South Carolina. I know for all of the victims, all those who lost a loved one, all those who lost something of themselves in that shooting and in those shootings, we send our thoughts and our prayers and our wishes. But I hope that I speak for everyone in saying that we will also back that up with our actions to make sure that in this country receive more than 30,000 gun deaths every year, a rate not seen anywhere else in the world, that we will insist on universal background checks for everyone without loopholes or exceptions. and ensure that weapons that were designed and sold to the United States military for the express purpose of killing people as efficiently, as effectively, and as great a number as possible are kept on the battlefields and are no longer sold into our communities. In our synagogues, in our churches, in our mosques, in our public places, it will take the lives of those in our lives. But it will require all of us coming together, defying the differences between us. No me importa who you love, to whom you pray, whether you pray at all, where you live, how many generations you can count your family an American, or whether you just got here today. This defining moment of truth for this country calls forth a service and a sacrifice and a unity from every single one of us, putting this country before any personal interests, any divisions that could divide us at this critical, important moment for this country. I saw you do this along with Monica in the state of Texas, a state that too many wrote off as too red within which to compete. We traveled to every one of the 254 counties of Texas, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how red, no matter how blue, showing up for everyone, everywhere, everyone deserving to be listened, to be heard, to be learned from, to be fought for, to be served, to be represented. And we never once had to trim our sails or compromise our values, showed up with the courage of our convictions. Everywhere in Texas, talking about a crisis in maternal mortality, 3 times as deadly for women of color, connected to the fact that Texas has shut down more than a quarter of our family planning clinics, making it difficult for women to get a legal access to an abortion, but also making it hard for them to get cervical cancer screening, to see a family planning provider, to see a provider of any kind in a state that also has not expanded Medicaid. We talked about gun violence and the shootings that we just witnessed here today in California, but that we witnessed in our high schools in Santa Fe, Texas, where kids, defenseless against an active shooter and defenseless against our inaction as a country and our failure to summon the political will, were gunned down where they learned. We talked about that in a proud gun-owning state. We talked about the need to get to universal, guaranteed, high-quality health care for every single American, in every single community, in every single state. We reminded our fellow Texans that in our state, the largest provider of mental health care services today is the county jail system. So bad that too many with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and clinical depression literally getting arrested on purpose to go to the one place that they are guaranteed to see a provider and to temporarily be okay before they are out on the streets. In our great state of Texas, I shared with people our story in El Paso, with Ciudad Juarez, the largest binational community in the Western Hemisphere. 3 million from 2 countries, speaking 2 languages, joined, not separated by the Rio Grande River, forming something far greater and more powerful than the sum of their parts or the number of people. El Paso, Texas, one of, if not the safest cities in the United States of America. Not despite the fact that we are a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees, but because we are a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. Those who chose us came to this country to do better for themselves and for their kids who wouldn't, have also done better for all of us, contributed to our shared success and the greatness of this country. And so not only did we urge our fellow Texans to ensure that never again is another child taken from another parent after traveling 2,000 miles on foot or atop a train known as the Beast or La Bestia. Never again is another child put in a cage, sent to a foster care home while that mom is deported back to her country of origin, the very place from which she fled. Not only must we reunite all of them, but we must rewrite our immigration laws in our own image to reflect communities like this one here in Los Angeles. any fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens in their true home country. We can share with our fellow Americans, as we did in Texas, that we will not purchase security with a $30 billion, 2,000-mile-long, 30-foot-high wall that not only will force you to take land and ranches and farms and homes from your fellow Texans and your fellow Californians and your fellow Americans, because that wall will not be built on the true international border. It will be built miles into the interior. Not only will we not do that, we will not force others who are coming to this country to join family, to flee persecution or death, to cross in the most inhospitable stretches of the border. The walls that we already have produced hundreds, thousands of deaths of our fellow human beings who are not deported, who are not in cages, who are not separated, but are dead, not living the lives they were intended to live. We are going to make sure that we understand that security is purchased not with walls or militarization or cages or cruelty, but by treating our fellow human beings with the dignity and respect that they deserve. Si queremos asegurar nuestras comunidades, necesitamos tratar cada persona con respeto y dignidad. Así vamos a hacerlo. Tenemos el ejemplo aquí en Los Ángeles y también en El Paso, in every single part of the United States that you go to. The very premise of our success and our strength and our safety is that unlike almost every other nation on the face of the planet, we don't define ourselves by race or ethnicity, but by this idea, now 243 years and counting, that we are all created equal, to equal opportunity, to equal outcomes if we will just invest in one another, and that our strength is that people choose us. And if immigration is a problem, it is the best problem that the United States of America could have right now. This is an opportunity for us. And by talking about these issues, in every part of Texas, though we came up a little on the face of the earth, millions who live in fear of deportation, including more than 1 million dreamers, and an economy that works too well for too few, and not at all for too many. The mother of all challenges is before us now, and that is the fact. The planet Earth has warmed 1 degree Celsius just since 1980. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Hvis jeg kunne stemme, så er jeg rimelig sikker på, at jeg vil stemme på ham. Han går meget ind for at kigge på våbenloven igen. Og ja, jeg ved ikke, jeg synes bare, han lyder som den helt perfekte kandidat. Så det er måske også lidt for godt til at være sandt. Men jeg håber på, at han kommer langt. Det kunne også være ret fedt, hvis han bare vandt det hele. Men også hvis han bliver kandidat, så kan jeg sige, at jeg har set ham. Nu håber jeg bare, at jeg kan komme hjem hurtigt. Jeg kan få noget mad. Det er en anden side til LA. Hjemløse, der har prøvet at lave et hjem under broen.